Hello, parents. Welcome back to our trainings. And today's training is going to be about 3 F's for fantastic mornings. So, if you're a parent of school aged kids or you have these mornings that are just really hectic, I encourage you to watch our training today to get some tips on how to make your mornings a bit more peaceful. So, we all know as parents that mornings are probably one of the most difficult times of day, right? Between us trying to get ready for work, even if you're a work at home parent or work from home parent, it's still tricky to because we need to, start our own job and what we need to do, but we're also having to juggle breakfast, making sure our kids are fed, getting them ready for school, helping them pack their lunches, heading off to drop them off at school. It can feel like our mornings are a tornado of activity. So that's not including trying to get your moody tweens or teens out of bed to make sure that they get to school on time. Maybe you're wrestling to get your toddler's socks on, and your 8-year-old is saying, "Hey, mom, can you help me find my lunchbox? And I forgot my homework yesterday. I need to turn it in today." Or, "Hey, mom, I need 30 cupcakes for my class assembly today," or something like that. We know that this often happens before we've even had anything to eat ourselves or even our first cup of coffee, right? So I'm hoping that today's 3 tips are going to help you just give you a bit of an idea of different science-based and evidence-based tools that you can use to help hack your mornings and help them go a little bit smoother. So, number one is food. So, it's really important that we're making sure our kids are eating something in the morning. I work with a lot of tweens and teens who tell me that they're not actually hungry in the morning. They just say, "Hey, I'm rushing to get out of bed." It's often really stressful. So, when there's stress in the environment, the kids aren't often hungry, right? Because taking food into the body is you have to kind of be calm and in a good mood. So, oftentimes they don't even feel they have time to do it, or maybe the food that we have prepared and ready for their younger siblings, they maybe don't want to eat. Teens often are kind of more picky eaters. So they say they often skip breakfast because they tell me they're not hungry or there's not enough time. But then they also tell me that mid-morning they start to feel tired and they don't have any energy or focus for their classes or class activities. So even if your kids don't have time for a big sit down meal in the morning, it's good if we can offer some grab and go options that can help support your kids' energy needs for the morning, right? It's like their bodies are a furnace and they're a machine, right? And they need fuel in order to run efficiently. So sending our kids off to school, even listening to what they say, "Mom, I'm not hungry," or "I don't have time to eat," but then knowing that it's going to affect their brain capacity, what they're learning, their energy levels, their social interactions with other people, right? We're not often at our best selves when we feel hungry or tired or with low mood or no energy, right? And so we are setting our kids up for failure by sending them off to school with nothing to eat in their tummies, right? So foods that can be helpful that you can use as a grab and go option, and having a couple of these, trying them out to see which ones your kids like. Things like breakfast muffins. And these are something you can bake on the weekends, and you can easily freeze them. You can batch freeze them. And then your kid can just take out one, put them in the microwave for 2 minutes, literally to warm up and defrost, and then grab them and eat them as they're, in the car or walking on their way to school. And that gives them something if you're making breakfast muffins with, whole wheat flour or even oat flour, and they have eggs in there and you can add some fruit. So it's giving them some protein, it's giving them some fiber and some carbs, and also by adding fruit, or maybe even if it's a zucchini muffin, right? You grate the zucchini really small. They don't even have to know it's in there. We're getting some nutrients into them for the morning, right? And if your kid maybe isn't a muffin eater, maybe they have like a gluten intolerance, using something like granola or overnight oats. And we can add yogurt and fruit to that. We can add cinnamon. There's lots of things, lots of additions that we can throw in there and customize it to our kids' individual tastes. And those often are, I said, if your kid is gluten intolerant, those are oats. So your child doesn't have to worry about eating flour. And those are often very filling and will give them a lot of energy. And they get protein through the yogurt or the milk. And they also get some nutrients through the fruit or other additions you may add into it. In the summer, my kids really like to drink fruit shakes. So you can buy these big batches of frozen fruit, strawberries, bananas, peaches, all those things at the supermarket, relatively cheap. And those are easy because you don't have to chop anything up or, worry about having fresh fruit on hand. You can just have it in your freezer. And it's also really good if you have teenagers who maybe are doing sports and they don't have enough protein in their diet, because you can add in a protein powder, right? You can throw in a protein powder, and if your kid doesn't, maybe like the taste, or maybe you don't have any protein powder on hand, you can easily throw in a tablespoonful or two of peanut butter, right? And that blends in, and they often can't taste it. So we know that they're getting protein through those fruit shakes as well as fruit. And if you do have time for a sit down meal in the morning, but maybe you don't feel like cooking, making something like pancakes ahead of time. So maybe making them the night before, 15 pancakes or 20 pancakes, whatever, the night before. It's not going to take that long. And they have something there. You can easily just take it out of the fridge, heat it up in the microwave, and put some fruit or, syrup on top. Kids also like, my boys often like putting peanut butter on top. So again, they're getting a little bit of protein in there. So those are all really helpful options that can be made ahead of time, right? The yogurt and granola parfaits, the overnight oats that can be made in mason jars at the beginning of the week and kept in the fridge. So all of these are very quick options that you can adjust and customize to suit your kids' individual tastes. Now, families often use commercial cereal as a quick option, right? Because it's something the kids can get for themselves. It doesn't take any cooking. You can just throw it in a bowl. But the thing with commercial cereal is that it's high in sugar and additives and fruit dye. And so again, when we're sending our kids off to school, yes, they have some food in their tummy, but they also have a lot of other things that's not going to be helpful for their concentration and for their sustained energy levels throughout the morning, right? Commercial cereal will spike your blood sugar, and then you'll experience that mid-morning crash. And teachers at school often see this, like, whoa, kids after recess in the morning, they come back and they're just like, their mood changes completely. They're like very difficult. They can't focus. So getting a healthier version, like using granola or using commercial cereal that doesn't have a lot of those food dyes and not very high in sugar. I want you to check the labels on the back to see if it has all of these, food dyes and a lot of high fructose corn syrup, and try to just adjust it to a healthier option, right? We don't want to change things completely if your child likes cereal, but maybe changing to a slightly healthier version is going to help them maintain their energy levels throughout the morning. Our next F is fragrance, using fragrance or smell to hack your family's mood in the morning. Now, we all know that smells are really linked to our emotions, right? It kind of goes past our cognitive awareness, what we know on a conscious level, and taps into something a bit more unconscious or subconscious, right? So a lot of us have very fond memories of coming into the kitchen when we were kids. Maybe our mom would cook bacon in the morning, or maybe she was baking something, or maybe our dad was brewing coffee. And so we often we link these smells to different comforting experiences that we've had as children, right? And so we want to provide that for our kids as well. There are certain smells that have the benefit of regulating and boosting our positive emotions. And this happens on a subconscious, or, it's not in our conscious awareness, our subconscious or subliminal awareness. So we don't realize this is happening. We just know, hey, I feel a lot better. And we can use these same fragrances for our kids to help them. They wake up, they're a little bit grumpy in the morning. Maybe they don't want to get out of bed. Maybe they're feeling a little bit groggy and tired. certain smells like citrus, so we're thinking like lemons or oranges, also jasmine flower, and any kind of mint, so peppermint or spearmint, anything like that. Those fragrances help wake up our brains and they boost our alertness, which is really great for the morning, right? When we're all a little bit groggy and tired and feeling a little bit bleh. Right, so you can do that by putting a few drops of essential oils either in a diffuser, or you can also put it on your clothes or maybe on your wrists, both for yourself to kind of put yourself in that good mood, but also when you go to wake up your kids and you give them a good morning hug, or you're helping them get their clothes on or something like that, they are going to be smelling these smells as well. And so they're going to be also gaining these benefits, right? It might be the hack you need in order to get your kids going in the morning. So I encourage you to test out those fragrances. And our final tip, our final F, is getting your kids and yourself laughing in the morning through something funny. So we know that laughing produces the feel-good hormones, serotonin and oxytocin. And oxytocin is the hormone that helps us feel connected. So when your child is struggling with you, maybe they're arguing, maybe they're just in a bad mood, they don't want to eat breakfast, they don't want to get out of bed, everything you ask them to do is a power struggle, playing a silly game that gets them laughing with you for 2 or 3 minutes, it's not that long, it's going to help your connection, right? It's going to help you be able to connect with your kid. And this means they're going to be more cooperative with you. You're not going to have to fight them. Everything you got to ask them 4 or 5 times. They're going to want to do it, right? So I have parents who come to me and say, but I'm not a funny parent. I really don't like playing with my kid. It's not who I am. So I encourage you to use some tips from Dr. Lawrence Cohen. He's the author of the book Playful Parenting. He does a lot of master classes. You can also find some of his videos on YouTube. And he gives these very, very simple, practical tools and advice that you can use. And sometimes it's even like putting on a silly voice, a voice that you don't normally use, or maybe wearing a funny hat in the morning, or drawing a silly mustache on your face, or, putting googly eyes on your kid's banana. There's so many options if you are in this frame of mind. And when you realize that, especially when you have younger children, to eliminate power struggles by helping them feel more connected to you. And how do they feel connected to you? When they're laughing with you and when they're having fun with you, right? So if you're not a funny parent, maybe you don't want to do anything kind of silly or goofy, then maybe making a task they have to do into a game, gamification. This can help your child feel like they're having fun with you instead of struggling to do something that you've asked them to do, right? So I encourage you to check out Dr. Lawrence Cohen and his books. Those were our 3 F's, our food, fragrance, and finding something funny in the morning to help your mornings just go a little bit smoother and be more peaceful. And when those go smoother, we start our day off on this good connection, on this much better foot, then we know the rest of our day is going to go smoother as well. So thank you so much for watching our training today, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.